Hi friends, welcome to Time to Learn TNPSC. இன்னைக்கு நம்ம பார்க்க போகிற சாப்டர் என்னன்னா reproduction and modification in plants. போன வாட்டி நம்ம part 1 பார்த்தோம். இப்போ நம்ம பார்க்க போகிறது part 2. போன சாப்டரில் நம்ம பார்த்தது வாட் இஸ் மீன் பை செல்ஃப் பாலினேஷன், கிராஸ் பாலினேஷன், அது எப்படி நடக்குது அதை பற்றிலாம் பார்த்தோம். மேல் இது ஃபீமேல் இது. இப்போ நம்ம பார்க்க போகிறது ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் பாலினேஷன், நேச்சுரல் பாலினேஷன்லாம் பார்க்கலாம். Pollination. In the above experiment, we transfer the pollen grains from male flower to the female flower. This is called as an artificial pollination. However, in nature, there are many ways in which pollen grains reach the stigma of the flower and is called as natural pollination. In some plants, like grasses, pollen grains are light. Stamens shed pollen grains and are carried by wind to other flower. Insects, birds are also other agents of pollination. Bees, butterflies and variety of birds hover around flowers. They help to carry pollen from one flower to another. Pollen grains stick to their legs, wings or abdomen. When they move from one flower to another, this is called as cross pollination. அது இங்கேருந்து கொண்டு போய் அங்கே போகிறது சில டைமில், அதுதான் cross pollination. When you shake stamens, pollen grains fall out. Thus, when a wind shakes the flower or when a butterfly agitates the flower, pollen grains scout fall onto the stigma of same flower. Some plants that have both the male and female parts within a single flower bisexual pollinate. By this means, this is called as self-pollination. Beans, tomatoes are commonly self-pollinate. Even though, for example, tomato self-pollinate, they need the help of the insects to create vibration within the flower that will effectively loosen the pollen. Paddy is mostly self-pollinating using just gentle wind as the pollinating agent. The agents that are helping in pollination are called pollinators. Differentiation கொடுத்திருக்காங்க self pollination cross pollination. Pollen grains are transferred from the another to the stigma of the same flower or to another flower of the same plant. Pollen grains are transferred from the another of one flower to the stigma of another flower of the same kind or different plant. Plants do not need to produce pollen grains in a large quantity for self-pollination. Plants need to produce pollen grains in larger quantities to increase the chance of pollination. It does not produce changes in the characteristics of new plants. Cross-pollination does introduce variation in characteristics of new plants. Pollination in plants, self-pollination, the pollen, cross-pollination. அதுக்குள்ளேயே எப்படி உருவாக்கிக்குது, ஒரு பிளான்ட்லேருந்து மற்ற பிளான்ட்டுக்கு எப்படி இதுவாகுது. In many plants, pollens have to come from some other flowers. This is obvious in case of plants which have distinct male and female flower like pumpkin. In some flower, the gynoecium matures first before the androecium shed pollens. Plants such as apples, plums, strawberries, pumpkins use insects for cross-pollination. Fertilization. Through pollination, pollen grains reach stigma. What happens to them after this? Substances produced on the stigma causes the pollen grains to germinate, molicasium. During the germination, a tube develops from the pollen grain that carries male gametes that ultimately reaches female gamete inside the ovary through the style. Male gamete fuses with the female gamete to form zygote. This process is known as fertilization. The life cycle of your plant: seed to plant, plant to flower, pollination and flower. Where is the female gamete? Inside the ovary, small rounded structures, ovals, are present. In these ovals, female gamete is present. To know more about this, we should cut ovary of your flower in longitudinal and transverse ways. இங்கே கட் பண்ணி டிஃப்ரென்ஷியேட் பண்ணி காட்டியிருக்காங்க. Cut a ovary of your flower both vertically and horizontally. Observe the ovals. Compare the ovary and ovals from few different flowers, or there are one or more ovals. Can you see any connection between the number of ovals in the ovary and number of seeds in each fruit? Collect some fruits: tomato, brinjal, lady's finger, mango, peas and custard apple and observe. You can see some green pot above brinjal and lady's finger. What are they? Compare mango, custard apple and peas. All these are single fruit, but custard apple has many small pods in it, each with a seed. Mango has a single seed and pea has many seeds. What do you understand from the above observations? A green pod above fruit of brinjal and lady's finger or sepals of a flower. In some, after fertilization, sepal will not fall from fruit and remain or persist with fruit. From custard apple, it is made up of many fruits aggregated together. Each fruit part is thin, membranous with some granule-like which is edible. Mango. Outer skin and middle pulpy are edible and sweet. Innermost is with single seed. Pea. Fruit is not fleshy but forms a covering pouch for many seeds. In all above fruits, ovary, a lowermost swollen part of pistil, develops into a fleshy fruit. Ovules present inside the ovary gets transformed into a seed. Hence, now with this observation, shall we list the changes taken place in a flower after fertilization. These are collectively said to be post-fertilization changes and are calyx sometimes persist with fruit. Petals wither or fall off. Androecium fall off. Pistil remains and develops into a fruit. Style and stigma fall off. Ovary enlarges to store food materials and develops into a fruit. Ovules present inside the ovary develops into seeds. இது fertilization டைமில் என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு தான் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. Do you know the world's largest and the heaviest seed is a double coconut? The seed looks like two coconuts fused together. It only grows into two islands of the segments. A single seed may be 12 inches long, nearly 3 feet in circumference and weighs about 18 kg. Orchids have the smallest seeds in the plant kingdom. 35 million seeds may weigh only about 25 grams. Asexual reproduction. Earlier, we saw that plants reproduce not only from seeds but by other processes as well. The production of new plants without the involvement of pollination and fertilization is known as asexual reproduction. Let us know the types of asexual reproduction. Vegetative propagation. In potato, shoot arises from eyes. Sugarcane, yam are also grown like this. Vegetative parts of the plants such as root, stem and leaves can help to propagate the plant. Budding. When we go to a bakery, we see so many types of cakes and breads. They are very soft in nature. This is due to the presence of yeast. Single yeast undergoes asymmetric division. It produces a small protuberance which gradually grows and detaches from the parent cell. This process is called budding. Parent cell, emerging bud, C and D bud. Viewing of nucleus கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. Fragmentation. In a pond, we see so many algae. Spirogyra is a afilamentous alga. When it's mature, the filament divided into pieces. Each fragment or piece of a filament will grow into a new filament or individual. Likewise, Spirogyra produces so many young ones, and this process is known as fermentation. Spore formation. What do you mean by unfavorable condition? Scarcity of water, high temperature, nutrient deficiency in soil, etc. or unfavorable condition. During this condition, non-flowering plants like algae, fungi, moss and ferns produces spores. They germinate into a new plant when favorable condition or returns. Modification of plant parts. Carrot plant, grass and onion. Then potato and mango. Carefully remove a fresh carrot plant from the soil. Observe it. Look at the part we usually consume as carrot vegetable. However, it is not a unripe fruit, but the taproot of the carrot plant, we can see that the taproot of the carrot is swollen. In the case of the carrot plant, the taproot has a different characteristics than the usual plants. Normally, each plant organ originally evolved to meet certain needs of the plant. For example, roots evolved primarily to anchor the plants and also absorb water and mineral nutrients from soil. Leaves were adapted to optimize photosynthesis. நம்ம வந்து 6th ஸ்டாண்டர்டில் பிளான்ஸ் இன் டெய்லி லைஃப்பில் வந்து ஃபுல்லாக பிளான்ஸோட ரூட்டை பற்றி ஒன்று ஒன்றா பார்த்துருக்கோம். அதை வந்து நான் கீழே டிஸ்கிரிப்ஷனில் தரேன், நீங்கள் பார்த்துக்கோங்க. Stems evolved to reach out to sunlight and also serve to conduct water from roots to leaves. However, in certain plant species, specific parts have evolved further in unusual and surprising ways to meet certain other specific needs. In some plants, root, stem and leaves change their shape and structure to perform special functions like storage of food, mechanical support, protection and other vital functions. This is known as modification. What appear as a leaf of a cacti are actually the stem, and what appear as spine on them are actually leaf. Its leaves are modified into spines, an adaptation to reduce transpiration. Photosynthesis is performed by the stem part of the plant. In this lesson, let us study about the modification of roots, stem and leaves. Modification of root. Root for storage. Look at radish, turnip, beetroot and carrot. They all grow under the soil. As soon as you pluck it from the ground, if you wash them gently, you will notice small roots dangling from their surface. மேலே root இருக்கிறது. All these vegetables are in fact roots of the plant. Instead of thin, slender roots in case of such plants, the roots have become a place to store the food produced by them. Hence, they are thick and swollen. One can notice that the taproot of radish is in the shape of spindle, swollen in the middle and tapering at both ends. Such type of modified roots are called as spindle-shaped root. Example, radish. At times, like in the case of turnip and beetroot, the taproot can acquire a shape of top that is spherical at the base and tapering shortly towards the apex. They are called as top-shaped root. In case of carrot, the shape is conical, broad at the apex and tapering gradually towards the base, and such modified roots are called as conical-shaped roots. Mechanical support. Look at a banyan root. It seems to have many trunks supporting it. However, many of them are actually roots. As the banyan tree is large and huge, it needs supports not to tilt and fall down. Many plants acquire such additional support. Such plants develop roots on their aerial parts to provide mechanical support. These roots grow downward and act as supportive organs. There are 3 types of modified roots for support. Prop roots. Roots are modified to provide mechanical support as seen in banyan tree. These roots grow vertically from horizontal branches of a tree. Stilt roots. In sugarcane and maize, adventitious roots arise from the nodes in cluster at the base of the stem. These roots are called stilt root, which give additional support. Stilt root na கீழே அங்கங்க root இருக்கிறது sugarcaneல நம்ம பார்ப்போம். Climbing roots. In betel and black pepper, nodes or internodes bear roots which helps in climbing. வெத்தலை செடியில். Do you know a root growing from a location other than the underground, such as from a stem or leaf, is called as adventitious root. Gaseous exchange. Avicennia is a tree which grows in mangroves or swamps. They have roots which are seen above the ground for the purpose of gaseous exchange. These roots are erect, peg-like structure with numerous pores through which air circulates. These roots are called breathing roots or pneumatophores. Do you know Vanda is a epiphytic plant which grows on trees? The development tissue present in the epiphytic root absorb moisture to perform photosynthesis. Vanda. Roots for other vital function. Roots may also be perform specific function. Hostoria or sucking roots are one of example. Cuscuta, a parasite plant, climb the trees and other vegetation and use the hostorial roots to penetrate the tissue of the host plant and suck nutrients from them. They are usually found in parasitic plants that depends on the host plants for nutrients. மற்ற பிளான்ட்ஸில் சார்ந்து அதோட நியூட்ரியஸை சக் பண்ணிக்கிறது தான் sucking roots. Modification of stems. Can you guess what is common between ginger, onion bulb, potatoes? All three are stems. Some plants have their stems modified for storing food and for vegetative propagation. Modified stems may be aerial, subaerial or underground stems. Aerial modification. Phyloclade. In dry climate, conserving water is a challenge. Water evaporates from the surface. If the surface area is larger, evaporation would be more, and if the surface area is smaller, the evaporation will be less. Plants with many leaves have more surface area. Cactus hence has a thick stem which does most of the food production through photosynthesis, and leaves are reduced to small spines with less surface area. Cactus கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. Subaerial modification. Stem of some plants remain subaerial, which grow horizontally on the surface of the soil for the purpose of reproduction. There are 4 types. They are runner. The stem grows laterally on the surface of the soil, breaks up to produce roots where it touches the ground to give rise to new plant. Vallare, centella. Stolon. Stolon is a slender branch of the stem that grows upwards to some distance and then bends towards the ground. Upon touching the ground, it gives rise to a new plant. Wild strawberry. Kodi varudhu. Sucker. Sucker is a short and weak lateral branch that grows diagonally upwards and directly gives rise to a new shoot. Chrysanthemum. Offset. An offset is a short and thick branch that arises from the eggshell part of your leaf. It has thick internodes. It produces a tuft of leaves and cluster of small roots below. Hiccornia. Going to be continued in third part. Thank you. Please share, subscribe and comment. Don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you.